What is the weirdest sexual experience you have had? I once met up with a guy I was sleeping with, and he had a green screen set up in his room from a uni project. We then got very high, and decided to make a porno in space. This is my favorite one in the thread. While on vacation, I chat a bit with a cute girl at a bar, and share some drinks. We find out we have similar interests, and from the same major city. We traded numbers, but it got late, so I said nice to meet you, but I'm tired, and going to get some sleep. While in an Uber, I get a text from her saying, look, my battery is about to die, and I'm only here for the night. I think you're really attractive, and if you want to fuck on the beach, meet me at the lifeguard station at locations is at 02:30A. I told the Uber driver to drop me off, and I start walking down the beach. I show up, and here's the girl with a small bottle of whiskey. We split the bottle, strip down and swim in the dark ocean a bit. Super dangerous BTW. Don't ever do this, especially when drunk. I'm amazed we didn't drown. We then climb into a lifeguard, stand, kiss and fuck. It was awful. Sand everywhere. Everything was salty. Cold air made it next to impossible to maintain an erection. And the wind was vicious. About 10 minutes into, I see a faint light and a voice shouting in the distance. It was the police. Apparently the beach is closed at these hours. We rush to get dressed. I fall out the lifeguard stand into the sand, but busting up my legs. I'm moaning in pain with my pants around my ankles. And an empty bottle of Jack next to me. The cop must have thought I was a vagrant drunk at first, but then saw the girl I was with up in the stand. He was understanding, but gave us quite the lecture on how stupid we were, and let us go with just a warning. Walking off the beach about to part ways, the girl tells me she's actually married. I immediately felt awful. Didn't know what to say, so I said, whoa, that's fucked up. Well, good luck with your marriage. I walked to my place, and left the next morning feeling like a sandy ball of shit. Sex on the beach is never a good idea. As an act or a drink? Yes. I asked my wife to talk dirty to me. She said your cock smells. Yeah, you like that, you fucking retard. I met this extremely cute girl at a bar. Went back to my place and very disappointingly, she was a complete dead fish in bed. That's not the weird part. I got frustrated and said, you can do stuff too. She thought for a moment, then leaned over and tickled my dick like it was a baby. So you got the coochie and the coochie coo. I've had a few weird ones, but the most uncomfortable I think was when I was supposed to have group sex with a guy I was seeing, a girlfriend of mine, and two of my guy's friends. It comes down to it and everyone backs out, but they don't leave. So it's just me and my guy, but naked, going at it, while they watched in silence. You had a live studio audience? Bravo. It's Saturday night. A pretty girl I met 10 minutes earlier made a bet with me on the outcome of a football game. Loser gives the winner oral sex. I won. We went out the back door and settled the bet behind the dumpster. She left afterwards. I never knew her name. She lost on purpose, bro. She didn't swallow and had a turkey baster on the passenger seat in her car. A guy came on my stomach and licked it all off. The weirdest part was that I think I was really into it, but was so unexpected that I couldn't know for sure. Was the guy hot? He's not conventionally attractive, but I am very attracted to him. Fair enough. Attraction doesn't have to be physical attraction. Most of my attraction is gravitational. Had a one-night stand with a guy who was really into the idea of hypnotism, and asked to hypnotize me. I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to pretend to be hypnotized, or if he only wanted it to work for real. Decided to pretend. Strange evening. Also briefly dated a guy who was into zombie porn, and had a foot fetish. I broke up with him when he told me his greatest fantasy was fucking a girl while she died. Once had a threesome with two guys while I was tripping. Turned out one of them was a virgin. Didn't know that till after. I still feel terrible about it. He deserved to be the center of attention for his first time. In all the madness and debauchery that is this thread, your last few words are a shining light. Made me smile anyway. We were covered in glow-in-the-dark paint with nothing but black lights on. It's like fucking, but in the movie Tron or something. We did it because she bought a glow-in-the-dark stud for her tongue ring and went to Spencer's for the rest. That's fucking lit. Literally. New GF was giving me a full-on blowjob. Mum walks in and cheerfully asks if new GF is staying for dinner. I scream at Mum to get out. She apologizes and closes door. Then through the door says, but is she staying? And does she have any deity requirements? My mum happens to also be my best friend. Your mum is a saint. Went on a first date with a girl I'd met online. Met her at a pub, and was getting happily drunk and increasingly flirtatious. Then her dad turns up. A very drunk, very Scottish dad. I then had to pretend to be her boyfriend. He approved. Told me I was better than some of the internet weirdos she'd met before. I thanked him. Then his daughter came back to mine, and insisted I fisted her while she screamed. Surreal. Same girl also had a fetish for giving blowjobs during Formula 1. Same girl also had a fetish for giving blowjobs during Formula 1. I know it's a typo, but that's not sane. Get in there, Lewis. Once with my GF, we would have your generic vanilla sex, but this time out of nowhere, every time I thrusted her, she kept queefing. It got to the point where instead of passion it was comedy and we both kept laughing. It never happened again. Comedy and sex are the best. That's why I only fuck clowns. I posted this, link in description, story on r/tofu 5 years ago. I will also post below. So, there's much more to this story. The title is a bit tame. If you can believe that. I was in a bit of a rut sexually. The last time I had sex was about 2 years ago with my then girlfriend. I have been posting Craigslist, yes, Craigslist for the past 4 or so months with nothing. No responses to my ads. No replying back from my emails. Until a week ago. I get a reply and honestly didn't think anything of it because it went to my spam folder and the email title was, "Hey man, can you help me out?" I almost deleted it, but decided to take a glance at it. It was a guy, early 30s. To paint a better picture for you, I'll post our email conversation. Guy: "Hey bro, just wondering if maybe you can help me out." Me: "Is this a male or female?" Guy: "Male. Married male. But before I scare you off, it's no gay shit. I'm looking for someone to fuck my wife." Me: "Okay." Guy: "Yeah. Her and I have been talking about this for a while and we are ready to do it. You game?" Me: "Well, it's something I've never done before, but I guess I'd be open to it." He goes on to describe him and his wife, and then send me a picture, and she was really good looking. Not fake picture good looking. Like this is a real girl good looking. Anyways, my dick is getting the better of me, and I send him a picture. He tells me he will show his wife, and get back to me. The next morning, he emails me, and tells me it's all good. She's interested. He asked if I could meet that weekend and I tell him sure. We communicate via email, and text for the next few days. Well, lo and behold, the weekend comes up, and he texts me that they won't be able to do it that weekend. They are going out of town. I figured they were blowing me off, so I moved on. Monday rolls around, and he texts me, "Hey bro, you still interested?" I almost didn't respond, but again, my dick got the better of me, so I just responded sure. So, he wants to know if I'll meet at their place. I agree, even though I'm a little weary about it. So he wants to meet around 7 PM, and ask me to call him when I'm on my way. They lived about 30 minutes from me, so I get on the road and I call him. He answers and says, "Okay bro, here's the deal. When you get here, I'll bring you to my wife. You're going to fuck her with no condom, nut inside her, and leave. Here I'm going. So he then tells me that she's clean, she can't get pregnant, etc. and that he wants to experience muddy pussy. He then explains what muddy pussy is: another man coming inside a woman, and the husband fucking her right after. So, I tell him kind of like sloppy seconds. He just says, "Well, I prefer muddy pussy. But whatever." Well, after all this, I still agree. He asks me to call him when I get to their street. I get to his street and I call him. He lives in a very nice subdivision and he's outside waving. He is about 6 feet 2, 240 pounds. Looks like he used to work out a lot but stopped. Very big arms but not muscular. He had a thin beard with dark hair. I get out of my truck and I go to shake his hand and he doesn't shake it. Just says, "Alright bro. Here are the rules. No kissing. No fingering or touching her pussy. No playing with her ass. No going down on her. Just get in there, fuck her, come inside her, and leave. Got it?" I say sure, and he takes me into his house. We walk to the back where his bedroom was. He opens the door and his wife is laying in the bed, naked. She looks up and smiles. He sits in a chair and I get undressed. I was hard the whole way there, but nerves got the best of me, and I had a hard time getting up. I start playing with her tits and, my god, She had a great body and smelled excellent. I started sucking on her tits and her husband said, alright bro, that is your first and last warning. I said no kissing. So, I'm halfway hard, and I'm still grabbing her tits, so I put it in. She moaned and put her hands on my shoulders. I started pumping away, and I lasted about 3 or 4 minutes. Came inside her like he asked. As soon as I was done, I got off of her, turned around and her husband was standing there with my clothes in his arms, put them in my hands and basically pushed me out of the bedroom. He closed the door and I could hear him say, you liked fucking that little boy, didn't you? And I can't believe you let that piece of shit come inside of you. Here I am, amazed at what just happened, and trying to get my clothes back on. I realized one of my socks was still in the room, but decided to take a loss on that one. They were comfortable socks too. I left and afterwards felt really dirty. I wasn't thinking with the right head. Afterwards, I started to panic thinking about STDs and whatnot. I'm usually really careful, but I was just so horny. The next day, I text him to let him know I had a good time. He texts back, yo bro, just because you fucked my wife doesn't mean we're pals. Fuck off. The end. Well, that was a ride. Yo bro, just because he fucked your wife doesn't mean you're pals. Fuck off. Our wife bro. r/Sedendler communism. Not that weird, but kinda funny. My wife and I were doing doggy, and when I was about to come I pulled out too far. I wanted to get back inside her as soon as possible to maximize my orgasm. In my haste I accidentally put it in her ass. Not like anal. My shaft slid up between her cheeks, like a sausage on a bun. It still felt good, and I started to come. I looked down, and realized my mistake, just as the first jizz rope hit me under my left eye. This move shall henceforth be known as hot dogging it. r/hot dogging. Of course that's a thing. Had a girl tell me mid-coitus to fist her on the kitchen sink. I fisted her on the kitchen sink. Afterwards she said she wanted me to piss on her. Pissed on her. Worth it? Worth it. My first blowjob, she used so much teeth. I kept breathing in sharply, and she thought it was because I loved it, but God no, it was from the pain. Me and my friends call that the cheese grater experience. Ugh, that makes it sound so much worse, lol. Maybe not super weird, but this may be the only chance I have to share this story. It was early December when I went on a date with a girl. After having a few drinks at a local bar, we went back to her house. We started doing the deed on a couch in the basement. I was on top, happily taking her on a trip to Pound Town, when I looked up and saw a Christmas tree hanging from the ceiling, pointed down towards the floor. Then I noticed the tree was surrounded by presents, also attached to the ceiling. As I had had several drinks, I could not fully process what I was seeing. I thought perhaps I was hallucinating. The girl noticed I had stopped and asked what was the matter. I asked her why there was a Christmas tree hanging from her ceiling. Apparently it was a tradition in her family to affix the tree to their basement ceiling. My curiosity satisfied, I resumed my journey towards the previously mentioned destination. I absolutely adore the way you phrased this entire story. A guy from Tinder and I met up with another couple that we never met before for a foursome. Pretty weird, just sitting at the table talking and then an hour later just going to town on each other. Like one of those comedy movies where everything is peaceful and then all hell breaks loose out of nowhere. Retrograde ejaculation from face-to-face dirty talk at 15. Boy oh boy, will that awkwardness never be topped. Yeah, seriously, don't leave us hanging on the meaning of this one, man. Retrograde ejaculation is when your sphincters fuck up and instead of leading through your urethra, the semen goes straight into your bladder. It doesn't have adverse effects if it happens once every blue moon, but apparently it can make you infertile. How do I know what it was? I felt like I came, but further examination in the bathroom of my underwear revealed it was dry. Is that what that means when that happens? The first time I got whipped in public I felt like I came, but my pants were dry, and I always wondered what had happened. Why were you whipped in public? Club had a fetish demonstration night and I asked. First BJ was accompanied by light ball play that progressed into a magical taint massage and exterior prostate simulation. She was a fucking GD wizard but for cum. I blasted off not too long into it, then she lapped up the nut from my stomach. Every BJ since has been subpar at best. Marry her. Perfect thread for me. I lost my virginity to my girlfriend when I was a month away from turning 15. We were at her house hanging with some of our friends when eventually then left, and it was just me and her in her basement. She closes the door to the basement immediately and turns around and says she wants to have sex. Keep in mind I'm a virgin, and I've only came once with anyone else before, and that was her from her HJ a month or so ago. She on the other hand has had sex before this, and not nearly as nervous as I was. I was so down, but shaking by how nervous and sudden the moment happened to come up. She took off my pants and my boxers, and took off her yoga pants. She never wore panties. I had fingered her before, so I had imagined how it would feel. But when she got on top of me, and put myself inside her, I think my soul nearly left my body, probably like any little boy's experience in some pussy for the first time. The feeling was so surreal, and amazing I felt like my penis was speaking in holy tongues. But anyways, after her slowly riding me for about a minute, I told her I wanted to stop, because I was afraid of Preckham getting her pregnant, because at the time I thought that was possible. Under certain circumstances it can. The thing was we didn't have a condom, so we didn't know what to do. She hops off my dick, puts her pants on, and I'm just sitting there with my hard wiener wondering what the fuck she was doing, until she comes zooming back in the basement with a whole roll of saran wrap. And as you may think this is going, she proceeds to wrap my willy with this cling wrap like a mummy, and we end up having sex for another 6 minutes, and then my mom was there to get me. The next day I went over with condoms, and we had actual sex where I actually nutted, because that makeshift condom didn't let me feel anything, lol. Moral of the story, I lost my virginity with saran wrap. We end up having sex for another 6 minutes, and then my mom was there to get me. How romantic. Got stupid drunk. Woke up hours later in bed next to a birthday clown. She was hired as part of the entertainment for my nephew's 10th birthday party. We started chatting after her show. I followed her back to her place, where we sat in her living room drinking. There was some joking around about how funny a hookup between us would be. I woke up at around 6 AM, in a dark room, looking at a clown nose on the nightstand on one side of me, and an actual sleeping clown on the other. My clothes were in a heap on the floor, and my shoes ended up in her living room. That's when I remembered I'd been walking around in her clown shoes. Apparently a lot of, let's call it debauchery, went on. Now, I don't know how many of you have actually ever woken up next to a half-naked birthday clown, but I didn't have so much a walk of shame as a drive of shame. Please tell me your drive of shame was in a tiny car with a bunch of other people. /sad honk. Accidentally gave my lesbian friend a facial when what was supposed to be a verism thing turned into the girl she was fucking giving me a HJ while getting fucked. Damn, I can get only this hard. Had sex with a girl, and from the moment I penetrated her she shouted, non-stop. I thought I was hurting her, so I stopped, and she shouted at me to carry on. Not moaning but a full arg. Literally over and over again. Kind of sounds like a bad scene-filled episode. She just wouldn't shut up. My ex stuck a grape inside me while we were having a fruit fight. Couldn't get it out, but it ended up shifting out while I was on the bus home. At least it wasn't a pineapple. To keep it to the point, I fucked a pageant queen in a grocery store dairy cooler. Reminds me of the time I fucked a dairy cow at the local farmer's market. I met a girl who was super freaky. I loved it for the most part. The part that sucked was the breakup. She talked me into sex in a park. We parked our cars about a quarter mile from the park and walked there. We were just talking about how much fun we'd both been having together, and she was really excited that I was willing to do this with her. Anyway, she has this sort of large backpack on, and I figured it was the usual stuff and maybe some drinks. I didn't question it at all. We walk into the park and it's just about dusk, so the park was closing, and we watched from the woods as the last cop patrol went around for the night. At this point I'm really hyped to have sex with her wherever she wants. We go to this little clearing where people sometimes camp, and we go about our thing. After round 3 she said okay, now T-pointy for the real fun. I have no clue what she is talking about, but pulls a blindfold from the bag. Instantly I think things are gonna get even more awesome. She puts the blindfold on me and says, you trust me, right? I told her I did, and she walks me over to a tree and ties me to it. I'm okay with this for a little until I ask her what's next. I don't get a response. I ask her if she's still there, and from a distance I hear her yelling good luck getting home. I couldn't believe she was running away. Luckily I was able to slip out of the silk ropes and make it back to my car unnoticed. She in fact had left me tied to the tree. She did leave a note on my car saying if I got out okay to meet her at her house. I had no choice, so I drove there naked. I pull in the driveway and there is her car. I text her and she says go to the back door. I do as she asks, and her mom opens the back door and sees me there. I'm embarrassed and her mom's face is red. She just points to my ex's room and says I don't know what you two are doing, and I don't want to know. I walk into her room and she bursts out laughing. Needless to say that never happened again, and we actually broke up about a month after. Bruh, what the fuck? That chick is psycho. Psycho, but the sex hasn't been beaten yet. Ick, now I can respect that. I had sex in a glowworm cave in New Zealand. Lots of bugs and weird noises in a pitch black environment. I also had a threesome. The couple I was hanging with went and took a shower together, then both came out naked holding candles, and I was still fully clothed, and it was super weird. The girl had fake boobs too. The fact that they were holding candles sounds like they were in a cult. Yeah, it was weird. Well, fuck whoever comes out of nowhere, we know who to blame. /poof/. Well shit. A couple of years ago I met a woman in a bar. We immediately connected, and after a couple of weeks of texting we decided that I would visit her for a weekend of non-stop sex. She also told me that she hadn't had sex for a couple of years, which was weird to me because she was good looking. Nonetheless, we still planned the weekend. Upon arrival we immediately started kissing in the hallway when she opened the door, and then we took off our clothes within 1 minute. We finished both real quickly because we were horny AF. We went for round 2 after a while, and then things happened which I had never experienced before. After some casual missionaries we did doggy. I was thrusting, and she wanted me to spank her. So I did. She said, harder. So I did. Every time I spanked her she pointed out that I struck too soft. She made me punch her ass as hard as I could and it still wasn't painful enough. Seriously, what the hell? I could have kept going, and she wouldn't mind. After this strange situation we swapped positions. I don't remember which position anymore, but she asked me if I could choke her. I had never done that before, but I though, sure, why not? I grabbed her throat and of course, I didn't pinch hard enough. She wanted me to pinch harder and for a longer time. You could say I was strangling her at one moment. Her face was swollen, red and veins everywhere. She still wanted me to continue. Then she tried to strangle me without asking. Obviously I didn't expect it, and that was the moment I got flaccid and left. Never spoke to her again. Semicolon. But damn, I do like to choke women now, and lately my GF chokes me light. M. Her name wasn't Cheryl Tunt by any chance? I had to look her up, haha, but no. When I was like 14, 15ish, my GF, me, and my mom were heading home from the mall. She starts playing with my dick and even sucking it a little. I think she has or had some exhibitionist fetishized or something, because she also did it with her parents in the room as we coupled with a blanket on us. Dude, your mom sounds like a freak. Stus's mom. Got it going on.